Good day, everyone. I'm Riggs Zanotti,
And I'm Harold Muliati.
and this is Sounding Great. Today, it's all about the Shure SM7B. Welcome to Sounding Great, a podcast dedicated to you, your voice, your recordings, your audio, how you present yourself, and how people perceive you. Sounding great because you can.
You have a great voice, and you just love performing or talking. You might like to get into voice acting, but you don't know where to start. I wrote an ebook series called Get Clever about voice acting and announcing to help you find your way through the maze. Get clever today.
And that ad was from Lily Wexu, a great voice talent based out of the Los Angeles area, and a good friend of ours, and we really like the work she does. And by the way, those Get Clever books are great. Definitely recommend that you look into them, and especially if you're new or even if you're experienced and you want a little bit more information on how to set up your business and how to do things correctly, take a look. This is coming from a pro. He's good.
And coincidentally enough, as you probably saw in that ad there, on the cover of book 1 of Get Clever about voice acting and announcing, it shows the little cartoon fox using an SM7B.
Oh, that was interesting. I didn't notice that. All right, so what you're hearing that I'm on right now is the Shure SM7B. This mic was developed in the 70s, 1970s. It's an old mic, and yet it is still a venerable, highly used mic that is found in a lot of podcast studios, broadcast studios, radio. It's a solid mic. I mean, literally, this thing weighs a ton. I think it's about 3.5 pounds. This is not a light mic. Now, don't be surprised by this huge little Russian Cossack hat that it wears. It's got a really small-looking capsule when you actually take it off. It's probably about an inch, maybe considered large diaphragm. It is a dynamic mic, so it doesn't require phantom power, but it does require a lot of gain. So if your preamplifier doesn't have enough gain, this mic won't sound that good. Now I'm going to put this back on. From what I've been reading and just talking with different people, the cover here, the little wind cover, if you will, doesn't really distort or take out too many frequencies. So this is a very flat mic. It doesn't have a lot of highs or a lot of lows. It's pretty good audio reproduction of your voice. Now, I am being compressed right now by the Warm Audio WA76, which is a replica of the old, I think it was 1176 from Dick Putnam back in the old days. This was developed in the 60s. These are great analog mics, compressors from before, and the preamp I'm using is the Warm Audio WA12. Now that has enough gain to power this. This thing, I think it has up to 72 dB of gain. It's quite a bit. This thing probably requires at least 60 something. It's gain thirsty, but there is a trick, and we have on this mic right now the Cloud Lifter. I think it's the CL1. And what that allows you to do, it gives you about 20 to 25 gain of extra gain so that your amplifier doesn't have to work that hard. And as a result, your audio is usually cleaner. Now, this is a mic I've had for about 3, maybe 4 years, and I kind of hated it. I will be honest. I hated it. Harold, did I hate this mic?
You didn't use it very much, and you did not seem to like that it requires so much gain to get it to an acceptable level.
Yeah, and it's sort of flat, and I didn't think it was that good, and I wasn't that happy with it. It's one of those mics I bought not because I needed it. I definitely didn't need it. I've got a lot of mics. It's because everybody else had it. I go, oh, maybe there's something to it, so I got one too. I usually don't follow the crowd. In this case, I go, yeah, it's got to be something. I have some good friends who use it and love it, and I figured, well, maybe they're onto something. And so many podcasters use it. I've seen tons of podcasters with this particular mic. I thought, we were filming a client the other day, and he said, that was Marco, and he goes, I use the SM7B, and I go, oh, how do you like it? He goes, I love it. I do all my podcasts with it. And Marco's a pretty solid guy, and I was thinking, well, wonder why he likes it. Why do I don't like it? And in essence, I think it was just I wasn't configuring it right. So it wasn't the mic's fault. It was the bad user fault. And as I play with the mic, and I've been playing with it on the Aphex Studio channel, on the Art Vocal Processor or Vocal Studio, as well as now on the Warm Audio equipment in the studio. And I'm liking the sound of it. It actually is sounding pretty good. It's a strong mic. It just requires gain. And with the Cloud Lifter, all of a sudden it made it a whole lot better. I compared this to this mic, the Electro Voice RE320, which I was using last week on the show. And the 320 is one of my favorite mics. I like it a lot. It sounds good. Well, I put them together, and I was recording. I should make a sample of it. I didn't last night. It was getting late. And the 320 sounded really good on the Aphex Studio channel, but the Shure SM7B sounded a whole lot better, and that surprised me. It was much smoother. This was a little grittier, which is okay, but I was surprised. I always considered this a very smooth mic for dynamics. I mean, you're not going to get usually the same kind of smoothness on a dynamic that you get with a condenser mic. But when you're doing podcasting and you don't want mics that pick up everything in the world, for example, a Neumann, depending on how good your studio is, it's not the best podcast mic, and you don't see a lot of them for podcasters. But you do see a lot of these, and you see a lot of the 320s and the Rode, what is it? Not podcaster. Is it podcaster or Procaster?
The Procaster is quite common to see, yeah.
Yeah. Now, Harold's on the Rode NTG4 shotgun microphone, which is a really good video shotgun mic. It's used a lot in the field. It can be used also for voiceover. It's also got a fairly flat pattern. It doesn't really highlight much of the highs or lows. It just kind of tries to reproduce your voice as well as it can. Now, this SM7B, well, not this one, but the SM7B, is also used a lot by singers. It was originally designed as a singing mic, which is sort of interesting. I guess because you can pretty much scream into it and it won't really react too badly. So, very clean microphone. Got all the standard frequency responses. All the patterns are about the same. It does have a couple of switches in the back, but they're so damn hard to switch. They're really small, and you got to have a little screwdriver or something or a pin that you can get in there and move them. I've left them on, I think, what the standard is. I may have moved one of them. I don't remember right now. But it has a little bit of adjustments you can make on this. But for the most part, this is a solid mic. It doesn't really get affected too much by radio frequencies or any other kind of frequencies. I joke that this may have its own Faraday cage built right into it. Who knows? It might, because it does not really pick up a lot of the other stuff that's floating around the air through us. It's also fairly decent at the rejection. If I'm talking here and I start turning it, now I am at the side of it, and I'm going to talk. I'm now going to be talking through the back of it. If I come back around, I am now back in the front of it. So you can tell a difference. It should go fairly low and fairly muted when you go to the sides and back. Like all dynamic mics, it rejects really well. You can talk very loudly into this, or you can whisper. It should. So it should handle the loud noises, and the compressor is kicking in probably, or maybe the limiter in this case. And it'll also pick up when you stop whispering. Some of them kind of fade out on you when you stop whispering. My precious. Let's try a little bit of reading on this. Walk placidly amid the noise and haste, and remember what peace there may be in silence. As far as possible, without surrender, be on good terms with all persons. Speak your truth quietly and clearly, and listen to others, even the dull and ignorant. They too have their story. Avoid loud and aggressive persons. They are vexations to the spirit. Do not become arrogant, for it may lead you to becoming vain and bitter. For there will always be someone better and someone worse than you. You are a child of the universe, no less than the trees and the stars. You have a right to be here, and whether or not you know it, rest assured the universe is unfolding as it should. A little sample of reading something. Anyway, the Shure SM7B, if you're looking to do voiceover with it, you could. But if you're looking for a little more warmth or a little more sensitivity, then stick with condensers. I know some voice talents who do use dynamics and they sound good. Again, it's going to depend on not only the microphone, but your preamps and your compressors and everything else you're doing. Again, if you're reading this without the compressor, it will sound somewhat flat. Won't sound all that good. But with a compressor, it gives you a little bit more life, and it just sounds nice. It's a good mic. Doesn't distort. Pretty much has your voice the way it is. So again, you're looking for a good podcasting mic, a good broadcasting mic, the Shure SM7B, I can see why it's been the choice of many for many years. If you're looking for a voiceover mic, it could work, depending on what kind of voiceover you're doing. You could definitely narrate audiobooks with this. Wouldn't be a problem. If you're doing podcasting, you could, again, do it with this. If you're doing voiceover for other people, it could work. It just depends on the kind of voiceover you're doing and what they're looking for. If it's really warm, and maybe this isn't it. If it's something else, well, maybe you could do it with this. It all depends. It depends on your voice, too, how that sounds with the mic. And again, this voice will sound good on pretty much any voices. If you have a really high voice, I'm not sure if this is the mic. Hi, everybody. If I have a really high voice, I don't know. Do you think this will work? Maybe. Maybe not. Maybe not. Not sure. It could. It's not geared to be a quote-unquote female mic, though it could work for some voices if they're strong. I know some females with very deep voices. This would definitely work for that. But I'd say if you're in the mids to lower mids to bassy voice, this is perfect. It'll work fine. Harold, any comments on your end?
Well, I just wanted to say, and if you watch podcasts on video or if you watch YouTube and that sort of thing, I'm sure you've seen this mic a lot. It's got that iconic little cable coming out from the bottom and going up to the integrated mount. It's got, sometimes some people will use that big windscreen. Sometimes they won't. It also has a smaller windscreen that you can use. That looks like it looks like the one that's in that illustration on Lily's Get Clever About book.
Yep. This one looks more like a little Cossack running around with you. Yes. Da, comrade. Okay, well, that's it on the Shure SM7B. If you have any questions, please put them in the comments below, either on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. This is going to go on all of those in a couple of minutes. Thanks, everyone. Have a good one, and we will see you later this week when we have Cynthia Tsai coming in. She is a vocal coach coming to us. She lives in Singapore, originally from Shanghai, China, and she has been to Sunnyvale a lot in the United States, where she also does seminars one-on-one. She's a great vocal coach, very fascinating. I think you'll enjoy her. She will be on this Thursday, 4 p.m. Pacific time, and that's, what's the date that day? October 2nd?
That is October. No, it's not October yet. It's still, it's the very last day of September. It's September 30th.
September 30th.
Yes.
September 30th at 4 p.m. Pacific time. Don't miss her. She's great. Have a good one. Take care. Thanks.
Bye, everyone.